Brutal stabbing of Tory MP David Amess yesterday was, we've been told, committed by a British national. Now, I'm a British national. However, our dreadful British media, being what it is, have described the murderer as being a British national of Somali origin, which to translate basically implies they aren't white then. I'm white, and with that comes white privilege. I know it shouldn't be the case, but I would never have had my origin implied as being anything other than British. I could describe myself as a British national of Swedish origin. I've a great-grandfather who came from Västerbotten in northern Sweden, but nobody would bother to check that because I'm white. If you're a British national, you're British. But what makes one, and why are headlines like this, which encourages racists to gob off, encourages racism towards people of colour on the whole, allowed to stand? What is a British national? I'm one because I was born here in the UK. I am British. You're also a British national if you were born in one of the UK's overseas territories, mostly various little islands. The list reads a bit like a who's who of tax havens, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, but also includes the Falkland Islands and Gibraltar and a few more besides. You can also claim to be a British national if you apply for it as a resident of Hong Kong in the 10 years leading up to its handover back to China. You can claim it with limited rights as a resident of former various British protectorates or former British colonies. The picture gets further complicated depending on when you were born, where that was, and whether either of your parents might have been a British national of some kind themselves. So where does this put this British national of Somali origin then? Does Somalia apply in any of these examples? Only if they were actually born here, making them British, or one of their parents happened to be British. Bits of Somalia were colonised by the British in the late 19th century, but we'd been sent packing by the late 1900s. So it is not an overseas territory or a protectorate or anything like that. It's nothing connected to us remotely, really. So if the press is being accurate, and we don't know much at all in fairness at this stage, then this chap or one of his parents would need to have been born here. So why even mention his Somali heritage? Perhaps they are Somalian. Perhaps the media is mixing up nationality with citizenship, which is applying to come here from another country, as successful asylum seekers do, for instance. But more likely, it's a big neon sign basically saying this person isn't white. And it just sets the rancid racists of this country off on one, not because this person doesn't deserve our disgust. They absolutely do. They killed a man in cold blood. But because it's their whole demographic that gets a finger pointed at them. Tweets like this, quite typical of the sort of thing we're seeing. Somebody, wrongly, as far as we can tell right now, stating that David Amess's killer was a Somalian national and asking how many more we have, implying all Somalians are a threat, and actually putting completely innocent people, be they Somali or not, just people of colour essentially, at risk of being attacked themselves. For all the accusations we saw yesterday relating to the phrase Tory scum and whether or not this contributed to the attack on David Amess, such talk invites attacks down on people of colour. You can't condemn calling somebody Tory scum and then condone language like this against Somali people or coloured people at all on the whole. That'd be hypocritical as well as racist. Of course, it's not just the dregs of social media coming out with this kind of language. GB News is at it as well, having used exactly the same phrase, calling this person a Somali national rather than the British national they have been reported to be. And in their case, it's instead blatantly to appeal to their hard-right audience. They know who watches their programming, and they tailor their programming to suit. It's exactly the sort of people who would go out and attack a random person of colour over this as some kind of warped retaliatory reaction. It happens to people of colour every single day. This just eggs on those who would attack them. It's irresponsible, it's not journalism, and it really shouldn't be platformed, never mind by those funding them. Other channels giving GB News house airtime are just as bad. Jeremy Vine, that means you. It's not just the expected right-wing outlets that are at it, though, either. Lizzie Dearden of The Independent tweeted this out. Again, we're told he's a British national, yet the headline here is this person's Somali heritage and that the motivation is Islamist. What the fuck? Islamist is reading the Quran, not stabbing someone to death. It's a world religion. Good God, do some research. Don't spread shit like this. Hell, just visit BBC Bite Size, for Christ's sake. But if you call that journalism, then pass me the sick bucket. Words matter, especially when they incite hatred, incite violence, give the wrong impression, and mislead the public. In no way through any of this do I condone what this person has done. They have committed an unspeakably brutal attack on someone just doing their job and should face the full force of the law. But that is because of their crime, not their faith, not their ethnicity, not the color of their skin. But our media should face consequences for its actions here as well. And any harm it may lead to needs to face severe penalties too. But too often they get away with it. And it's time more people called it out before more innocent people get hurt.